So, Audrey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Will? Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely, doing amazingly well on my side. For those guys who don't know Audrey Lee, PhD, is Fitpack's head of research and education. And we're here today to talk about making positive change. So, let's get straight into it. What is your best advice on making positive change to become healthier?
Best advice on making positive change. Keep it simple, right? That KISS acronym, keep it simple, sweetie, like simple. A lot of times people, the first thing, and when is it? It's usually first of the new year. People say, I'm going to transform my whole entire life and I'm going to do all of these things. And then they end up being overwhelmed, overwhelmed. They can't do anything and then they give up. So to me, I'm complete opposite. Like the simpler, the better, the easier, the better. And so what is it? So when we say, I want to make healthier changes, like what exactly does that mean? Get as specific as possible. So I'm going to be using a lot of acronyms. Another one is make a SMART goal. Make one SMART goal. And SMART is an acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, reachable, right? And then in a timely fashion, in a timely fashion. So an example is, I am going to drink more water each day, right? It's like, that's easy. That's an easy one that I think when you talk to most people, like, can you drink one more glass of water in your day? Yeah, most people can do that. I think you can.
Absolutely.
And then if you just say like, okay, focus on that one simple, easy change. And can you do that for 1 week? So ones and ones, all these numbers like one, 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 just have one glass of water, one time a day for 1 week. So that's why I say like simple, simple. And that's for nutrition, or maybe say food wise, like, okay, can you have one fruit or one vegetable in your day? Add one fruit or one vegetable, and then kind of go through, you know, again, I oversimplify. What's your most favorite fruit in the whole wide world? What's your most favorite vegetable in the whole wide world? Make it that one and have it. So
Yeah.
maybe it's a banana, like great. So have a banana every single day. And that's your starting point. This way you're successful that you do it and you're like, I do this a lot in my classes. Then you give yourself a pat on the back, like, wow, I did that. And then you become, right? Then you're confident. You're like, wow, I did do that. Okay, what else can I do? Whole different.
That's awesome. I think that what you said, especially the keyword simplicity, it is the key. It is the keyword and it is the key. And this is what leads a lot of people to failing, I think, over the long term, is they try and incorporate habits all at once without taking into account taking small steps in order to get to the end result. So I think it's absolutely key what you said in the notion of being simplistic and doing one thing well first and then adding on another thing next. So if it is more water, great. I'm going to consume 2 liters of water per day, 2 liters of water per day, 2 liters of water per day. And then once that becomes a habit, implement something else to complement and to bolster as well. Amazing. Off the back of that, then, how would you say, or what would you say is the best way to implement healthy habits? Obviously, you just said, being very simplistic and doing one thing a day, but is there any additional advice that you can provide on implementing these healthy habits?
Well, it really goes into the one's personality. So reminders. We all use reminders, like say for work, right? Work, we have alarms, we have calendars, we have our phones. So utilize what helps remind you to do something that is important. So again, coming back to the work reference, you have a work meeting. This isn't your typical work meeting. This is something out of the ordinary, like, oh, well, then I need to put this into my calendar. I need to put this into an alarm on my phone, and maybe you put sticky notes. What helps you to see this particular step that you're working on in as many ways as possible so that you don't have to rely just on your memory? You have reinforcements. I mean, you could even ask, maybe it's your partner, your coworker, hey, can you remind me to do this? today. As many different ways to reinforce this step, this one step.
It's basically an external notification that can help trigger you to action. And this is how the brain works, isn't it? We rely on not just our internal triggers, I'm hungry, I need to work out, etc. It's the external notification that leads us to action. So the reminder 10 minutes before it's time to consume that healthy meal. I totally agree, and that's just working with the brain and how it works. So off the back of that then, Audrey, once we've implemented this healthy habit, how do we ensure we are being consistent, and what are your best piece of advice on being consistent?
Well, that's a really good one, right? Because we start making change and we want to be consistent so that it eventually becomes a part of our lifestyle and our routine. So one suggestion that I would say is, what steps do you already do in your day that are habitized, that are so concretized that you don't ever have to think about? Like, say, for example, for many people, that's that one starting the day with a cup of coffee. Yeah, where it's like, there is no compromise, there is no question. I am having my cup of coffee in the morning. It's happening, right? And so that's where you can stack these, or some call it habit stacking, that you already have an existing habit and then link the other habit.
Stacking, that's interesting.
So then they link the other or your new habit with an existing habit. So say your coffee in the morning, like, okay, coming back to our example with the drinking of the water. Okay, before I have my coffee, I'm gonna have my water. Or while I'm having my coffee, I also have a glass of water there. This way they go hand in hand, that you don't have to like, now wait a minute, did I have my coffee? When am I supposed to have my water? No, they go together, that you're already there preparing the coffee, easy to pour out a glass of water. So that's what I would recommend. Again, what you see is simplification of it all. What are you already doing? Because I know you're already doing something positive. So let's link another positive step with your existing one.
Amazing. It's like positive reinforcement, and positive reinforcement makes positive reinforcement squared, pretty much. That's really cool, and that's just a way to hack the brain, per se, in a very positive way by doing what we already do, just adding something to the existing behavior. Habit stacking, that's an interesting notion. Cool. So we've wanted to make change. We're making change. We have now implemented a new habit, like drinking water more often, and we're looking to be more consistent. Audrey, from your professional and expert advice, if we fall off the track, how do we get back on, and how do we ensure we stay on track more than off track?
Well, that's a really good question, because we do fall off track. It's going to happen. I think that's one of these things too. Plan that this is going to happen instead of, so we're getting into expectations. We have these high expectations of ourselves. So we've already said, instead of this unrealistically high expectation, let's make it so low that we can accomplish it, yet at the same time, plan for, I don't want to say not failure, but plan that you will not always be able to do this. And know that it's okay. Know that it's okay. Plan for like, okay, I'm probably not going to be able to do this all the time, especially too when you're starting, changes are new. So we're not expecting perfection right from the start. And so I think too, what we were saying with the brain works by stimulus, internal, external stimulus. Can we connect your brain with the heart? What is this change that you're doing? Why do you want to do it? And I think the why is something, it's like, this change has got to be something that really is so meaningful to you that you want it. I mean, if it's coming from the outside, that somewhere someone is saying, you should do this, you could do this, would do this, versus, I want this, I need this for me. And that changes the whole energy about whatever this change is. We're talking about generalizations, but change comes from within. I mean, we've all heard this phrase before, like, change comes from within. And I think what is this change that you're making, right? So then coming into health, all of these changes we're making are to improve our health, but what is it about the health? What does that mean for you? Maybe that means I want to be healthier so that I can have more energy to spend time with my family and kids. Or I want to feel, right? So the feelings, I think if you can associate the feelings with it, and again, so link those together, as we said, where we're connecting positive habits with positive habits and a positive emotion about it, then, and that's a tricky one. That's a really, really tricky one. So notice when you fall off, like, oh, I didn't do it. Okay. Don't beat yourself up. It happens. Be kind to yourself and then say, tomorrow's the next day. Let's do this.
Sure.
And I think that's really the important part, that it's having the focus, attention to like, okay, I'm going to do it again. Try again tomorrow. That you're going to keep trying until it becomes easy, and it should become easy. And then from there, it's like, you know what? I feel really good. This feels good. Notice the differences that you're making so that you can contrast. Wow, when I drink more water, I actually feel really good in comparison to where you were before. So again, it's going back to the feelings. Like if you can tie in the feeling with what you're doing and the why you're doing, that can be of great benefit.
It's incredible. And I think to conclude, this talk on one statement, I think it really sums up everything about making change. Seek to be persistent versus expecting to be perfect. Persistence over perfection, I think, is the key when making change. It's okay if we fall off. We all fall off. I fall off. You probably fall off every now and again. But it's about coming back on piste, so to speak, and accepting that it is okay to not be perfect. But ultimately, we are striving to be persistent versus perfect. Audrey, I am so grateful for your time. This is going to be a very pertinent part of Fitpack's content creation, and I look forward to our next talk.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time and for really summarizing these things, because these are questions that everybody's dealing with when they're working on creating change. And to make it easy and to explain it in a way, like you said, persistence instead of perfection, like easy, simple, like be persistent in what you're doing instead of expecting perfection. So thank you so much for your time. And
absolute pleasure. Audrey, you take care and we'll speak soon.
look forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.